Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ianisaweirdo. We are on the final interview that Lori is doing for me. Hi, Lori, welcome in.
Hi there.
And we're going to be talking about the big D ability, other big D.
Yes.
But yeah, I think Lori, if you want to take it away.
Yes. So, what happened leading up to and after 2019?
So, leading up to kind of the events that were kind of the big life-changing events for me in 2019. I had been working for I've see maybe like a little over 2 years or so. Um, now I have no concept of time. I don't know how long. It was a
Right.
very short period of time,
Right.
but enough to know that I really liked the job that I was doing.
Right.
It was very challenging. It was also very high pressure and like high stakes. So it was kind of just like I was constantly on edge, working like 80-hour weeks. It was
Oof.
a lot. And then I started to feel in like the summertime, I started to feel like I was getting the flu. Um, took some time off, like a normal, like day two, no, okay, three, okay, what? The four, like what's happening? Um, and uh went to the doctor, went back to work, but was just feeling like shit all the time. And then my throat was really swollen,
Mm,
but not on the inside. On the outside, I was having
mm,
thyroiditis. So my thyroid started to go. Um, and then within a month or two, I also got my concussion. And so
mm,
those two together um, have started this insanity of disability. Um, and I took 6 weeks off of work. I took some time off of work around the time of my thyroiditis, but then with my concussion, I took 6 weeks off of work, and I like should have. The doctor cleared me to come back to work. Everything should have been fine, but I just wasn't fine, and I wasn't like physically, I wasn't great, but mentally, I was in shambles. I was like, I couldn't get myself together, and so I started to like cycle of like coming back to work for like 2 weeks and then having to take 6 weeks off of work,
mm.
coming back to work for 2 weeks, 6 weeks off of work, back and forth, trying to fight this like what was happening. And I was like, I just was like, it's gonna get better eventually, right? Like it has to. And it didn't. It just didn't get better. So
Yep.
kind of the combination of the two were kind of what led to my disability.
And what happened? Um, so that was leading up to, and that was after 2019. So
Yeah.
all of that was happening in 2019. Okay. And then this is the big question. How did you cope with becoming disabled? The bigger question is, how has that changed now?
So I would say that I absolutely did not cope with becoming disabled. I I fought it. I was doing everything I could to not be disabled. I had all these negative connotations associated with it in my head. And not for other people who are disabled. No, they're fine.
Right.
They can be disabled. But me, I can't be disabled because I need to be doing something. Like I was a busybody and was a, like like if I'm not producing something, am I doing anything with my life? Like all of these questions, like kind of like flood you like waves.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
are and it feels and like trying to think of side hustles that I could do and all of these things to
Yep.
make money and keep myself busy.
Yep.
And really, I was running away from the issue. And I I think that in a lot of ways, me not dealing with the reality of my situation compounded how much it hurt me. And so instead of learning to accept the situation I was in faster, running away from it just made me figure out. how much I truly could not do and
Mm,
how sick I really was.
mm-hmm.
And I had this secondary effect of like if I like keep it together and act like things aren't bothering me as
Right.
much here, like it's going to show up pain and that frustration and that anger is going to come up in another part of my life. So like my relationships got worse. Like my every part of my mental health got worse, and it was already bad. Um, and a lot of things I didn't even realize were me running away from that disabled label. Um, and it wasn't until it's like it was just me not.
Yeah.
But how I deal with it now is I'm a lot more patient with myself,
Mm,
and I still try to reach out for some things that could, maybe turn into a side hustle or maybe this or maybe that. But I don't put as much stock into my life being okay if they can't.
right.
Um, or and I think that that's really like for me it was so challenging to do. Um, but getting out of this mindset of you are what you produce. Um,
Mm,
and for
yeah.
me, like following a lot of disabled content creators who it wasn't about, I've got to, make this, make this, make this, make this, who were just saying things like, hey, if you got out of bed today, like that's good. And if you couldn't get out of bed today, that's also fine. Like you're not whatever measures of like you're more than your measures of success. And I needed people to tell me that. And they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know they were talking to me, but it felt like they were, and I really
Mm-hmm.
appreciated it. So um, that's been, that's why like if I can't get up and clean my room or something like that, it's like, yes, I wanted to do that today, but it's not going to help me because if I beat myself up over it enough, that could be that could turn into like a month-long depression.
Right.
And it's like, who really loses when that happens? Oh,
Right.
it's me. It makes things worse. So just trying to be more gentle with myself and changing the bar, letting the bar
Mm,
move if I need it to and if I want it to.
nice. So, can you describe? Okay, so this is connected, but connected to all the parts that we've already talked about. Can you describe the different types of care you've received?
Yeah. So I spoke a little bit about residential care when we did the first video.
Hmm.
So there and there's a lot of crossover between different types of care, but really there's kind of an emergent level of care, like an inpatient setting. Uh, this is like crisis is another word that is often associated.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah,
can be a 72-hour hold type situation at an inpatient hospital, where you are held involuntarily. It's like bare bones of creature comforts, if you will. A lot of times it's big medication swings. This is where you go if you are going to hurt yourself or someone else.
right,
Um, and or for some people if they're like detoxing or something like that, this
right.
is where although there are detox centers, really just depends on where you go. Um, and uh, then I've gone to residentials, which are a little bit longer. They can be like 2 weeks to several months. And here where you stay there every night, it's basically like camp, with
Okay,
tons and tons of different treatment modalities. And really, it's just trying to see what sticks, what helps you. And you're going to get hit over the head with a bunch of different types of treatment.
gotcha.
Then usually what you do with that type of treatment is because that is 24/7
Right.
care, you always have like nurse access and stuff like that. What you'll do from there is you'll step down to um, PHP or IOP, so that's partial hospitalization programs or intensive outpatient programs. So they're outpatient. You go home at the end of the day. So
Mm,
PHP might be like 8 hours a day, and IOP is shorter, it's like 3 or 4 hours a day.
okay.
And you are there. You go to a facility. You can also do them online. They do exist online,
Mm,
and you get care, and it's just like residential where there's different treatment modalities. But you don't stay there every night. You usually are seeing a psych, you know, off campus or whatever. Um, and so for me, and then there's other like specialty groups and stuff like that that I've gone to, and then there's a psychiatrist and a therapist. So for me, when things have been really bad, it would be I would spend, a month in or so in residential, and then I'd go down to PHP, and then I'd go to IOP, and then I'd be home for 2 weeks, and then
okay.
I'd need to go back to crisis center, and then I was going back to residential, and I was going to
Mm,
PHP, and I was like, and then I'd go step back up and go residential, and so for like the first like from when I became disabled until like let's see, it was like April of last year, or yeah, April, March of last year. I was going back and forth so much that I was really spending about 9 months out of every year in treatment, like,
wow, okay.
higher level treatment of some level. Um, and which is one of the things that made it quote unquote easier for me to get um,
Okay, right.
uh, disability because I was in treatment so much, and all of it was very well documented.
Documented. Yep.
That it wasn't like, hey, he can be fine for 8 years and then he has to go back into treatment. It's like, no, he can't really go, but fine, can't go for 8 days,
Yeah.
like without.
Yeah.
So all of that really helped me, even though the process was still really long.
Right. It's so much paperwork, right?
Yeah,
Um, but I guess is your disability um strictly defined within the mental health pieces, or is it that some of your other health pieces that are part of your disability label with the as far as the government's concerned? I'm just
as far
curious.
as as far as the government is concerned, it's all mental health for
It's
me.
all mental health.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, all of my physical health problems, that I've had, uh, other than, the things that happened in 2019 to kind of
Right.
cause
Right.
all
Right. Right.
this. I like the stuff that I'm dealing with right now. That all started last summer, but I was already receiving my full benefits. So
Gotcha. So it's not even, yeah, you wouldn't add anything. There's no reason to supplement or whatever because it's all already there.
yeah, the payments based on what you put in and what your well, it's really, as far as I understand, it's based on if you put into Social Security,
Right.
and because that changes SSI or SSDI,
Right.
and then what your jobs were, how much you made your
Right.
jobs.
Right.
So, like, if you get more sick or less sick, your disability doesn't change.
Yeah.
Uh, which, it seems like if you're more sick, you should get more help.
Right.
Nobody has to.
Because, well, with the military disability coding to some degree, that's a whole fight, but that's more, even more of a fight. But there are percentages. And so it does change it based on what, just like
Yeah.
how
And
many
and it might
disabilities.
change. Yeah, it might change if I wasn't receiving like full benefits.
Right. But you're
Like,
already
and so
receiving full
then I set
benefits.
that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
Right.
then that'd be
Right. Totally
okay.
makes sense. Yeah. It's just such a different system for me. So I'm always curious about that. And I know it's currently very, very difficult to get. But now hearing the background, it makes more sense why it wasn't as hard for you. But I know people who have tried to get disability based on the mental health issues alone and have not been able to do it, even with the help of lawyers. So it's
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
any invisible illness. Yeah, I'm just
Right.
gonna, not just
Right.
mental illness.
Right.
I think that invisible illnesses should
Yeah. Like,
be coupled
yeah.
there too, like with your migraines,
Uh-huh.
because like no one, it's like it's just as um, difficult to prove that you have migraine pain.
Right.
And so I think that they're all difficult
Yeah.
to get by.
Yep.
For me, when I've said it before, but like when uh, I was asking my lawyer when my hearing was coming up, I was like, "Is there anything else that can?" I was like, "I will provide anything. I will get
Right.
anything you need or whatever." He's like, "Your file is already 3 times as big as everyone else's
Right.
that gets approved." He's like, "You're
Right.
not going to have a problem." So
Right.
he had a lot of confidence in me. I don't think he had to do really any work, like not a significant amount of work for my disability. So I
Right.
was lucky in that
Yes.
one thing.
Yes. Lucky to have that support. Um, so given all that, what challenges do you think, and I think we're starting to touch on that anyway, people with chronic severe mental illness face that people should know about that they might not realize?
Um, so I think that I felt like I had like a good Miss America answer to this.
World peace.
Because I was yes, world peace. Um, but I was thinking about how people who are mentally ill, especially severely mentally ill,
Right.
um, they have like they're more likely to be victims of crime. They're more
Correct.
likely to become homeless. They're more likely to become
Correct.
uh, addicted to substances. Um, they like did I say homeless? If I didn't, I
Yes.
meant to. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I mean they have all of these hurdles just to
Hmm.
basic humanity, like the human um like
Right.
rights and privileges that we take for granted so much.
Right.
And it's and to get jobs, to keep jobs, all of those things are so difficult. And I think that it can be really easy to see someone struggling, and whether you know that they have something or you kind of like you don't know but you
Right.
kind of have your suspicions, and just be like, why can't they just like get their feet underneath them? Like it's very frustrating and it's very sad to watch someone who like you want to do well and you want to be able
Right.
to be to get better, but they're struggling so deeply,
Right.
and they just can't seem to do it. And all of these things are just like this society is just not meant to help these people thrive, and especially when they
Right.
don't have good support networks. um
Right.
they're doing it on their own and it can be very very difficult. um and there's just no easy solution to
Right.
people being this sick. you know um you can't be like, well, lock them away, or like these
Right.
answers that like people will throw out as like easy solutions to just aren't easy solutions to people
Right.
being this sick. um and I like I'm lucky enough that like at least some of the time I'm like cognizant enough to realize that things could go sideways and I could be in a really bad position.
Right.
And if I, you know, and I have some fallbacks, and if I didn't have those fallbacks, like a lot of people I know don't,
Right.
then like where would I be? And I have to think about these a lot. And these are things that most people don't have to go through their day worrying about.
Correct.
If shit goes sideways, how am I going to take care of myself? So, just that there are not nearly enough resources for these
Hmm.
people to take care
Yes.
of themselves. And I also, in this question, was thinking about the people who do care for people who have severe mental illness,
Yes.
because I think that it is such an incredible task to
Yes.
um, take on someone's mental health and like try to support them. And it's so easy to exhaust yourself in every single way possible.
Yeah.
It's like you become isolated and you become that person's only link to the world, and it's
Yeah.
you get you it's such an impossible task to someone to do. Um, and I think that if you're a caretaker of someone who
Yeah.
is mentally ill, making sure that you are taking care of yourself, because
Yes.
that we can say it as many times as we want that you can't take care of someone if you don't take care of yourself, but it's absolutely true.
Yep. Yep.
And especially so if that person is this sick. Um,
Yeah.
and I also think, and I don't think this is like necessarily like a controversial opinion, but I think that it's something that needs to be talked about, where it's if you are the caretaker or loved one of someone who is severely mentally ill and they make you mentally unwell because they are cruel,
Mm-hmm.
they are violent, they are
Mm-hmm.
anything, like please be safe. Like
Yeah.
you owe it to yourself to put yourself first.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. They're like, you know,
Yeah.
if someone's family, you should do whatever. It's like, no, you should put your oxygen mask on first and make
Yep.
sure that you're safe.
Yep.
So I did want to mention that, if that was
Yeah,
the
that's
case.
a great point because your safety and your well-being do actually come first.
Mhm.
Even if you are someone else's caretaker, you need to take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first. Um, if someone that just came to mind that's going through a struggle because uh, a person they care for very deeply is mentally unwell and now in the criminal system or in the justice system because of choices they made because of their severe, profound PTSD. So, it's so they not only can they end up homeless, they can end up in jail too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this is another piece or component.
definitely. And I like it's like obviously like you like that's terrible. Like you never would want someone to be in that position, but
Right.
can't save people um
Right.
and I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could?
It would it would
And
be great.
it's so frustrating that we can't, but I think that it's a huge practice in acceptance uh,
Mm-hmm.
that we recognize, what we can. And I talk about doing adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional
Yeah,
families
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot, and their 12-step program, and in all 12-step programs that I know of, they do the Serenity Prayer or a form of the Serenity Prayer.
Right.
And that's like such a huge thing to me.
Yep.
And so the Serenity Prayer, if you're not familiar, is God grant me the serenity to accept the
Mm-hmm.
things I cannot change, the courage to
Mm-hmm.
change the things I can, and the wisdom
Mm-hmm.
to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And the ACA Serenity Prayer is God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the
Mm.
courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. And
Mm.
I love that so much
That's
because it's just like,
very
okay, it
good.
just gets rid of like the like
I love
any,
that.
yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I love that because I've been using that for a long time. I can only change me.
Mhm.
I cannot change anyone else. Um, and that's that self-awareness and that's reflection and all those things you need to do. It's a lot of hard work and it's not so fun, but but I think that serenity prayer is fantastic for that. You put the two together and like if everybody would live by that, wow, that would be an interesting place we would live in, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, yeah,
So that, yeah, that was really helpful. And remember, if you're a caretaker, take care of yourself. Okay. In the past year and a half, you've experienced some big changes in your mental health. how did you make those changes and how do you maintain your mental health?
So for me, I had a pretty wild year and a half. Um, Basically, I after going in and out of treatment,
Hmm.
different levels of treatment all the time, and just like never stopped. Um, in June of 2024, so I guess that's almost 2 years at this point.
Oh yeah,
But
oh yeah.
in June, I tried to uh, commit suicide,
Hmm.
and then I just I in the coming months, I had a bunch of change in my life, and then I was sitting around, and I just knew that I couldn't do this in and out of treatment thing
Hmm.
over and over again for the rest of my life. And I was like, I'm going to put all of my eggs in this basket. I'm going to go into treatment. I'm going to try as hard as I can, try to soak up everything I can, and like change my mentality, change everything I can. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be in and out of treatment. I'm going to put everything I have into changing my mindset and like fixing the root problems. I'm not going to focus on like this, like, like I felt like every time I went to my therapist, I wanted to talk about something bigger, but then like I was so chaotic that week or something
Hmm.
that I couldn't focus on the bigger issue because this newer issue, like, so it was all, it all stemmed back to the same root cause, but I wasn't ever working on that. So
Hmm.
I started working super hard on um, trying to just like change my outlook on things, and I feel like I've done really I feel like I've done a lot of work on that and it's made such a big difference in my life. Where I just like don't even feel like the same
Hmm.
person anymore. And, it's one of those things where like, I don't know if I could be like, well, I wish I would have done it sooner because I
Right,
feel like I needed to hit like
right,
rock bottom of rock
right.
bottom to get there. Um, and oh shit, am I recording?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yes.
um, but it needed to get really bad for me to get there, and I wish it didn't. It's one of those things where you want to see people get their lives together without having it be like a total dumpster fire first. And I don't, you know, I wish I could be the case for me, but I don't think it is or has or was. So I think I think being like I have to make these changes or I'm going to die. Like legitimately, like that
Right.
was the only way that I was going to
Gotcha.
get better. And then uh, how I maintain these changes, I'm just like I've fallen off a little bit, so I definitely need to get back on it. But that 12-step group and going to therapy and being on top of my meds and um, building my support system back up, which has been a really hard part since I've like, relocated and everything.
Mhm.
But that's what I have to do, and I can't where I'm at geographically and mentally and everything. It's like I let things. I'm not like aware of signs that I'm becoming manic
Mhm.
or depressed or something like that. I don't talk to the right people, and I don't get people checking up on me or whatever. Like
Right.
nobody's gonna know, and like the stakes have never been higher, and that's just what it has to be right now, unfortunately.
Right. Right. And you've you've been developing a support system, but not necessarily locally.
Mhm.
Is that a good way to describe it?
For the most part. Mhm.
Yeah. You do have some local support, but not the kind you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, for me, they're like, I there's like a local ACA group that I've gone to a couple times. So like I do know some people locally, and I did, I was in a sober living in LA
Oh, right, right,
that was where if you went to their PHP or IOP program, you lived with them. So like there were some people there, but now they're not there anymore. But
right,
some people might be in the area.
right.
It's, it's lacking. It could be more for sure.
So yeah, so I can see that being a challenge, but um so from just so you know from an outside perspective, because I watched your channel before you got the treatment in California and then watching you now and even watching you like from shortly after you got the treatment to watching where you're at now, I can see that there's so much growth, personal growth and self-awareness. Um, and you seem so much more grounded is the word I'm going to use. Um, and I appreciate the way you share your challenges and both the good, the bad, and the ugly, and in heartfelt but a factual, like a factual and helpful kind of way. But I can say as you know, watching before versus after, and even like in this last time since you restarted really putting out content, I've seen so much growth. So just wanted to let you know that. Yeah, you're welcome. And and I understand like your health care, your health comes first. Mental health is health care too. So it's really it's a I hope that you can get everything you need um before you go, whatever needs to happen in California. I hope you can get that and before you need to go back to North Carolina because you know the, it doesn't seem like the journey's quite done there in California.
Um,
Might be.
yeah. I'm like, I was at the point where I was like, if I hadn't had these appointments scheduled for like three
Yeah,
months and they're not really
yeah,
hard to get
yeah,
into, I was planning on coming back like this
yeah,
month. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we'll kind of see how that shakes out because if it's a prolonged treatment or something that doesn't transfer easily, then
Right,
gotta
right.
consider that.
But yeah, so then, and that's another place where your physical health can really impact your mental health. It can be very vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Um,
And one of the possibilities with what's going on with me, in my mind, I'm not putting a lot of stock into it, but I
yeah.
imagine it's going to be a conversation that happens very quickly. Is if uh, like if my medication caused some of this, which it
Mm,
could have,
mm,
and in which case they will take me off of it. And for over 5 years, they changed my meds at least like about every 2 weeks, which is a stupid amount of times to change a frequency to change your meds. Bipolar is a moving target with medication,
right,
so you will experience like changes, and it doesn't mean that
right,
you're on the wrong meds. It's just not
right.
right for right now. But sometimes there are the wrong meds. But I've been on so many medications, and if they have, I like I've been on this one for over, you know, pretty much this exact mix for a year and a half, which
Okay.
has not happened since I've gotten
Wow.
become disabled. So if they have to take me off of it, it's likely going to be very destabilizing. And I'm like,
Man.
please don't do this. Like, just
Oh,
cut it out or do something different. I don't know. Do something.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I really hope that I hope that's not the path that you have to take.
yeah.
Because yeah, when you find the right balance, that is amazing. And yeah, appreciate you sharing your your journey with us. Yeah, that was the last question. How do you maintain? Because the maintenance can be the real rub.
Yeah.
It could be, whew, yeah. And there, regardless of how well you're maintaining and how well you're paying attention, there still can be ups and downs.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing. And I guess, something that is, I guess is common with most mental illnesses, but I think people are most surprised about it with bipolar is that people can still experience their ups and downs
Right,
when they're medicated.
right,
Um, with for bipolar medications, it's just about decreasing the height, like the amplitude of
right,
the peaks and valleys, and making them like a normal range of emotions. And but you do have those constant, those relatively frequent changes of medications to kind of dull one or the other. But you're still going to experience that, and you can't medicate away all emotions.
right,
And that's a
right,
big part of like bipolar has like a really low what's the what's the word that they use? Medication adherence rate,
right.
because
Yes.
a lot of people they feel numb, they don't
Yeah,
feel anything, and
right,
they feel miserable as a result. Which uh, I was on a medication one time that made me feel like that. It's like a couple days, and I was like, "Fuck this noise,"
right,
and I can't imagine being on that for a amount of time. So,
right,
but yeah, if you have someone in your life who's on medication who they report that, take that seriously too, because
right,
that is not a fun experience to go like
right,
through life with like dimmers on or whatever. Like
right.
it's awful.
Yeah, and then it needs to be evaluated and whatever. Uh, Some, so yeah, yeah. That and CPAPs, right? People don't like their CPAPs.
Yeah.
That's what I
They'll
hear
save your
anyway.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the pictures from Zach when we get pictures of him in his CPAP though.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
I
pretty
really need to I should send him a picture in I'll put it in the group of mine because my mask is so different.
Oh, I didn't know you had one.
Yeah, so it's not something I've talked about much. It just January I and my I don't need the oxygen because my rates are it's not my rates of apneas are pretty low. But mine is so you it's like so it's just it sits under my nose like this, and it looks
Mhm.
like you know what it looks like? It looks like headgear from braces. That's what it looks like.
I want to
And then
see.
yeah, and then it has a tube that comes out the top, but the tube can spin 360 so you can roll around in your sleep and it doesn't inhibit you. And so, but it's that mask is only an option, I think, if you don't need oxygen, which
Mm.
yeah, I will. I'll do that for you and Zach. I'll put a picture of me in my mask in my braces headgear. Except
Nice.
it's not on my teeth, it's under my nose.
I love it.
But
I can't wait.
yeah. I'm fairly compliant when I don't actually fall. If I take my nighttime meds too soon, I'm not on a sleep med at all. But for some reason, sometimes one of my medications makes me like I'm just asleep and I didn't even know how I got there. So I have to make sure to put it on. Just don't put it under my nose until I've taken my meds, just in case I fall asleep like and I'm not ready for it. But that's just that's just a funny thing. But yeah, it's maybe I should talk about that. I don't think I've I've maybe mentioned it in passing on my channel, but I I should probably mention. But yeah. Anyway, anything else that you would like to add to this piece, this ongoing piece of your life?
I don't think so. I think that um, just being able to talk about all these sections, because in different parts. It helps me organize my thinking,
Yeah.
because for me they've been such distinct kind
Yeah.
of chunks
Yes.
of my life,
Yes.
and you know, hopefully, it for me it'd be really great if no one could relate to any of this because they don't have
Right.
any severe mental illness in their life. They don't have anyone who's family members who have it going on. Um, but just like with everything that we've been doing for Mental Health Awareness Month,
Yeah.
this just one more piece of data for people to relate to.
Yes.
And if you can relate to this, I hope that this can help, and or that that I don't know that
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope it's out there for people. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
And it was weird writing questions for myself
Yeah.
and answering them. I appreciate you putting your own spin on them and
Yeah.
asking follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Um, but I I felt like when I was talking to you, there was something about your story that that made me go like here's another way that people
Hmm.
like can hear it and hear themselves and their story in
Yeah.
it. And I was like, I have not told like this much detail,
Right.
I don't think, about my story. So especially not like the farther back you go, the less I've talked about it. So
Right.
um happy to share and happy to
Right.
have you
And
here.
it may help someone who's maybe they're seeing their child go through these struggles.
Mhm.
And that can be because again, and reminding them parents, you need support too. If you're helping your kiddo deal with this, uh, it can be it's and it's not a quick fix. There just isn't such a thing with mental health care, at
Yeah.
least not in my experience.
No, I mean that's the thing. It's I think that people can have like a temporary like people can have a moment in time where they don't deal with something well.
Right.
They're dealing with grief and a loss.
Right.
They're just dealing with big changes in their life, and they just need some time to recalibrate and get their feet underneath them. And then there's
Right.
these chronic issues that can persist through good times and bad times, and they're going to show up regardless of what else is going on out in the world.
Right.
And to have those moments, um, and always know that they can, like, they're always kind of like looming in the distance, right? Where like
Right.
they can always show up and ruin your day.
Yeah.
Um, is a different experience. And something worth talking about if
Yes.
that's your life.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so
Right.
much for doing
Yes.
this interview with me and all three
Absolutely.
of these and
Yes.
yours.
Yes.
um, we got to know a lot about each other,
Yes.
which I think is good. And I really appreciate your help.
Yes. Thank you so much for writing the question so I could structure it in a way that was going to be work well for you.
Yeah, I think we did a good job. High five.
Yes.
Okay, thanks everyone for watching. We'll talk to you later.